What I want to do first, thank all of our donors that we have, just to appreciate them and what they do. And I'm seeing if yeah, there it is, it works. Had a issue of trying to find a clicker earlier, so thank you to Charlotte. She said, give the mouse a try, and it actually worked. So thank you, Charlotte. So as you see, these are our donors that we have here. They help keep the Woods County Economic Development Committee running, and it keeps opportunities for certain things that we can do to help out for businesses and recruitment and expansion. One thing I'd like to do is go on ahead and announce our board that we have for Woods County Economic Development Committee. I want to just give a shout out to them and a special thank you. So in alphabetical order, I have Mayor Susan Bradford. If you're here, go ahead and just put your arm up. You don't have to stop eating, but and she's actually over there, and I did see her arm go up. But Dr. Kay Decker, Dr. Jeremy Eaton, County Commissioner David Hamill, Dr. Bo Hannaford, Cale Leeper, and Jack Stack. And again, thank you so much. But I have a great board. They give me a lot of freedom to do things and a lot of guidance as well. With that, we have Woods County Economic Development Committee that's kind of housed underneath our industrial authority. And I'd like to actually recognize them as well. The Woods County Industrial Development Authority is Bob Baker. I know I saw Bob somewhere. There he is. Brody Bush, Melissa Fisher, Stan Klein, and County Commissioner Randy McMurphy. And if you don't mind, you clap for the others, so please clap for the others. Well, one thing a lot of people don't know is what exactly is our mission, what is it that we are there to do. And basically, I put in the PowerPoint that we continuously want to improve the Woods County area space through the efforts of communication, retention, and recruitment. We'd like to help in the promoting of the tourism aspect for Woods County. And for a lot of you that I bring up certain specific things here and there. If you haven't been to Winoka and don't know about America's Oasis, we got Anna Maria right here. She is the operations president, right, of America's Oasis. Fantastic. If you haven't seen that, I highly suggest you go out there. One thing also, we continue to develop partnerships and work with other entities to carry out goals and establish the successful economic development environment in Woods County. Of course, you could have read all that I just said, but with that, we really do reach out to a lot of different partners, reach out to other organizations, which is also why we've asked USDA to come here, and State Director Tim Korn, who will speak here in a bit. Moving on. Some things that I like to just kind of tell you a little bit about what I can do and some things that we help with. We will help in searching for grants, helping you with grants, one-on-one business consultations. Those are confidential. My previous position at the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, I worked at the Oklahoma Main Street program. And with that, I did a lot of one-on-one business consultations, and so I'm happy to take that and just pass it along. Surveys and questionnaires, business plans, taking pictures for events, we do that as well, and workshops. And also we have access to a lot of great opportunities of gathering data and statistics. A lot of businesses will get approached by someone saying that, we can get you this information, pay us this amount of money. The fact is, we can get that information for free, and we're happy to do the analysis of that and be able to read it and say, hey, this is some information that we're able to do and get for you. Pages are sticking together. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is just a slide that I have put together. Basically gives what the value is, but our services are free. So, as the pledges and the donors, help support the operations of our program, I wanted you to know that there's a lot of things that other people, that they may come across and they need to have a survey analysis done, and it could be $1,000. So one thing that we actually are doing, and I'm happy to announce that I was able to get approved, we're going to do a windshield survey for each community. And generally that can be in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. I was able to get it at $1,000. So Freedom, Winoka, and Alva are going to have a windshield survey done. And that's basically going to, outside people that come in, they do this survey, and they will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of what the community has to offer, and ways to improve upon it. So that's one thing I just wanted to announce, a brand new thing that I was just able to get approved last week. And then with that said, what are some things that we've worked on and we had completed? The beginning of this year, we were awarded through the Oklahoma Department of Commerce top grant that was able to do a site review for AVARD. Through this particular thing, that we were able to get approved for ARPA and PREP funds for AVARD. We'll have more details on that in the future as it goes on. Those business consultations that I was telling you about. Other things that we're doing, development of the website. So if you go to woodscountyok.com, you'll see that there's actually one thing that recently we have put up there is a small business toolkit. So if you're a small business and you might want to take a look at that, and I'm happy to explain that for you as well. Just give me a call. And other things, one more thing to announce, we have officially become a member of the Main Street program. So, and we have become a member of the Main Street program as a county, which is one of the very first that has done that. So Woods County is now Alva, Freedom, and Winoka all qualified for being historic downtowns, and they are in the Main Street program. So I think that just in a short amount of time, just looking at Susan, we have seen a lot of emails and a lot of webinar opportunities and just workshop opportunities come our way just by becoming members of that. So that's information. If you are a small business and would like to get that information from us, I'm happy to send you anything that comes our way to you email. And the last thing, something that we're moving forward and doing is continuing with hoping to become a certified film-friendly community. And that opens just the door for bringing in some additional funds that come this way, people spending their money in our communities. And it's what it sounds like, there's the opportunity to have someone making a movie, TV show, whatever it may be, come and film in your community, spend their dollars there, and help in boosting the economy. And then the last thing that I really like to stress more and more on is just all the data and statistics we do have access to. I make good partnerships with certain people. America's Oasis and I was able to partner with someone who's able to pull event data for them. So they could have, the UTV invasion was a good example, and be able to see how many additional people were there in the town during that event and where they come from. So these are just some of the small little bits of data and research that we can get. So call me, ask me. You may see there's some brochures that are on the table. Take one of those with you. It'll have my information on it, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you may have. And that's enough about us. It's time to get with our speaker. So Kenneth, I had this thing, I did a little research and pulled some things from here and there, so I'm going to read it. And if I leave anything out, feel free to fill in the blanks. So Kenneth Corn has spent his entire adult life serving the people of Oklahoma. He served in the Oklahoma House of Representatives from 1998 to 2002, and the Oklahoma Senate from 2002 to 2010. At the time of his election to the Senate in 2002, he was the youngest person elected to the body. During his tenure, Kenneth Corn chaired the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee for Public Safety and Judiciary and the Retirement and Insurance Committee. In 2010, he returned home to Podo, Oklahoma, which I was the liaison for when I was with Main Street, by the way, where he worked in the oil and gas transportation industry. In 2015, he was appointed as city manager of Anadarko, Oklahoma. At the time of his appointment, Anadarko had been operating in a deficit. He overhauled the city's purchasing process, billing systems, and renegotiated contractual obligations, bringing the city back to financial stability and allowing significant investments in capital improvements. On February 24, 2022, Kenneth Corn was appointed to serve as the United States Department of Agriculture State Director for Rural Development in Oklahoma by President Joseph Biden Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kenneth Corn.
Thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. I always loved coming to Woods County. When I was a member of the Oklahoma State Senate, I always would tell my folks at home, I represent LaFleur, Sequoia, and Woods County. I was invited out here a number of times to do the legislative quail hunt and got to make friends in this community over the years of my service in the Oklahoma legislature. I just have a real special place in my heart for this area. It's a beautiful country. You have great people out here. And it's something that I'm proud as State Director of Rural Development, I can come out and be a partner with you, hopefully on some projects to continue the progress that you're making here. To be at Rural Development has been a real highlight in my life, to be honest with you, because it's given me a chance to reconnect with people across the state that I've met during my service in the legislature. And it's given me a chance also to work on projects that really matter. Oftentimes you hear people say, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you. And people are always kind of fearful when they hear that. But honestly, I will tell you, at Rural Development, we are here to help you. We are the one government agency that is not here to tell you how to do it, when to do it, and look over your shoulder to make sure you're doing something. We're here at agency to be your partner and to find ways that we can help you advance your goals. And that's the thing about rural development. We have a staff in Oklahoma that's extremely committed to this mission. And if we say at the Department of Agriculture, we are the people's department. We are the department that was established by President Lincoln. As you think during his time, the country itself was the vast majority all ag-based. And today it's the opposite. But the mission of the Department of Agriculture is still as important, because no matter where you live in this country, what happens in agriculture matters to you. The air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat all comes from rural areas. And so we're focused on that at Rural Development to try to figure out ways, how do we make rural communities not only survive, but prosper. And I get a little agitated with folks in Washington. They say, well, we just got to figure out how to make these communities survive. That's not my goal at all as State Director. My goal is to make communities prosper. What can we do with the resources that we're given by Congress to make a real difference in communities that is sustainable, where there is economic growth and where young people choose to stay in rural Oklahoma? And I think we've got a number of programs that do that. I can tell you, as city manager, I've seen it all. I've dealt with the issues that cities face: crumbling infrastructure, workforce problems, and trying to recruit companies to come to areas, sometimes crime that creeps into some communities and problems that you have, and no revenue. And even though I faced it as a city manager, I had a good contract where I was at. The city of Anadarko had a multi-year contract. They were very happy with me. But when the president called and asked me if I would do this job, I had to think long and hard whether I wanted to give up a job where I was pretty secure to go to a job that the next election cycle I could be out of the job. Because I'd done that as a state legislator. And elections, come and go, and there's not a lot of certainty in that. But the opportunity to come back and work on, I think, real issues across the state is what attracted me to this. And the president has been very clear as he's talked to us is that he believes rural America has been left behind. And the reality of it is in the last 30, 40 years, rural America has been left behind. I mean, we can just look all across our state and all across the country and see what's happened. Our main streets are empty. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We have had just real struggles of getting investments in these areas. And so the president, when I took this position, wanted to be very clear. He wanted our focus on how do we put money back in these communities. And when Congress passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, he also instructed us as state directors, it is your obligation to make sure that rural communities get a portion of that money. And for us in Oklahoma, that means to make sure Tulsa and Oklahoma City doesn't soak up all the infrastructure money. And so we've been busy about trying to do that. Now, while that money hasn't come to USDA Rural Development for me to dole out to communities, I have been out making sure communities know how to get it, even though it's not through our department. And so we want to make sure at Rural Development, even if it's not our program that can be the most help, we want to connect you to the programs that will. Because we think it's important. I don't ever want to hear my staff say, that's not our program, and just leave you at that. I want us to connect you with what best serves you. And sometimes I will tell you, rural development projects or programs are not the best one for you. There are others that you can get a better deal, more money, and move your project forward. And so we try to look at all things holistic to try to connect communities to what will help them get to their achievements that they want to have in their communities. So I just want to talk tonight about a couple of programs that I think are pretty important. The one thing we're talking a lot about right now is the Rural Energy for America program. It is a program that was part of the Inflation Reduction Act. And it's a grant program for small businesses and ag producers. What this program does is it's either a 50% grant for energy efficiencies or for renewables. So you would ask, why would the Department of Agriculture be involved in that? Well, we want to be involved in it for a couple of reasons. One, all our small businesses in rural areas really struggle sometimes to make a profit. So if we can help people through this grant program to get energy efficiencies or renewables to their system, to their businesses, it helps put money back in their pocket when they spend less money on utilities. Second, the infrastructure for electricity in this country is overtaxed. So it lessens the demand on our energy system. Third, for those of us who can't qualify for the program, but others do, when there's less demand on the system, that means our costs of buying electricity for the rest of us go down. And three, it's good for the environment. So what that program does is we go out and we say, as a small business in rural America, you can come to us and apply for energy efficiency. So what does that mean? That means if you're a small business, you can get a 50% grant up to $500,000 to do things like a new roof for your business, windows, lighting, insulation, or equipment that's more energy efficient, or HVAC units. That's a pretty good deal. You're never going to see this deal ever again. And I tell people all the time, this is an opportunity because many of our businesses need to do these things anyway. This is your chance to get your money back from the federal government so you can do things that will be important to your business and save you money and make more money be in your pocket rather than going out. So that's a good program that you can do that. And really all we ask in that grant application is we ask you to do an assessment. If you can show an assessment that it's going to save you money on your energy costs, more than likely you can qualify for that 50% grant. If you want to do renewables, when we say renewables, we're talking about solar panels, wind turbines, geothermal. You can do 50% of that up to $1 million. Now what we're doing at Rural Development in Oklahoma, because I get to set the priority here, my priority is to try to help small businesses, those mom and pop main street operations that really need the help. As I told the group earlier that I visited with, If you can match $1 million grant, you probably don't need the federal money to do what you're wanting to do. But a lot of mom and pop operations on Main Street, they probably can't do some of these things without the help. So we're going to focus our dollars in Oklahoma on trying to get those folks to apply and get that money in their pockets. We're in our current application process right now to open October 1 and it'll close December 31st. So I encourage you, if you know anybody that's in a small business, to apply for that. Or if you're an ag producer and you want to get involved in it, there's an opportunity for you too. The requirement for ag producers is you have to show you don't not use so much energy, but also that more than 50% of your income comes from the farm. So it can't be a hobby farm. You've got to actually be in agriculture. And what we're seeing with ag producers, we're seeing them put solar on wells. We're seeing them put solar on irrigation systems. We're seeing wind turbines being used too on the farms. So we're seeing a lot of that. And the good thing about this Rural Energy for America program is it's stackable. If there's a tax credit out there, you can apply it. If there's a rebate, you can apply to it. So we're seeing like the people who are using the wind turbines. I talked to Bergie Wind Turbine out of Norman the other day. He's selling these all across the state. His customers are out of pocket about 10% of the cost of the projects. We did this with a convenience store. He did solar panels on his store in northeast Oklahoma. And he told me the other day when I was visiting with him that his utility bill at his store went from $5,000 a month to $1,000 a month. So there's an opportunity here to get your money back from the federal government. And let me be clear, it is your money. And sometimes I hear people say, oh, I don't want to take money from the federal government. I don't want to take money because it came from the Biden administration. I don't want to take money for this reason. Guys, it's not Congress's money. It's not the president's money. It's your money. And somebody is going to get it. Why not you? Why not put this money in your community and make the investment here? So that's one of the programs that we talk a lot about. The other program is the value-added program, where we want to take a commodity that you have and help you take that commodity and make it a product so that you can create wealth in your own community. One of the things that Secretary Vilsack has said over and over again is we need to stop taking commodities in rural communities and shipping them to Chicago or New York or Dallas or other places and letting them take the raw product and make wealth off of it. We should be trying to figure out ways that we can help rural communities take the commodity they have and create the wealth right there. And that's where rural development will really come in with our value-added program that we have. But also part of the problem we have in rural America is the infrastructure portion. So at rural development, we can do things like water infrastructure. We do things like community facilities. In fact, in Frederick, Oklahoma, one of the projects I'm involved in right now is trying to get the Frederick Hospital back open. It closed a number of years ago. They didn't think that thing was going to take off, but we're now working. I think it's a reality that we're getting pretty close to be able to get the financing all wrapped up, grant money to them to get the hospital reopened. And healthcare, whether you believe it or not, is an essential infrastructure need for communities, particularly if you're going to do economic development, because companies want to know that they have access to health care. And I'll tell you, when I started meeting with other agencies about it, they said, well, what's the priority here? Why are you interested in Frederick, Oklahoma? One is I served with Speaker Roy Benson when I was in the House, and Speaker Benson has called me repeatedly about trying to help him get this done. That was one reason. But the other reason is I think it's good for Frederick. It's good for Southwest Oklahoma. It's good for the people that call that place home. And when we started getting pushback from the other agencies, they said, well, why is this a priority? And I just said it this way. Not that the president knows anything about the hospital in Frederick, Oklahoma. And I said, well, I work for the president. I'm in this community today, and this is a priority for the president. And me saying that immediately opened the doors for all other agencies to come to the table. And we're finally making progress on that hospital. Those are the things we should be investing in. We've been making investments in schools across the state. This past week, we gave money for schools for improvements in lighting, and improvements for their buses. We're trying to help them with computer technologies in schools. Rural schools are the key to our economic future. We've been making investments in roads all across the state. So there's opportunities for our community facilities program to do that. And at the same time in Oklahoma, Rural Development, Oklahoma's office was #1 in the nation in what we did in business guaranteed loans this year. We are investing $254 million in rural businesses in this state. And I'm pretty proud of that. To be able to sit across the desk from my colleague in Texas and say, where's Texas at on the list? Texas is way below us on that. And so we're doing real things. We're seeing real economic changes in our state, and we want to be a part of that in every community. And then the other thing I'll mention is that this last year, we got only $370,000 given to us to do grants in local communities. Can't do much with $370,000. But we had states like California and Utah and Texas that didn't spend all their allocations. So when they called us from Washington and said, hey, we have some extra money, do you have any projects that need to be funded? We submitted another 25 applications. And so our $370,000 allocation was over $2 million. So we're spending $2 million in communities on all sorts of projects that are important to those communities. And we're real pleased with that. And I'm pleased because I have a staff that cares about the mission of rural development, and they want to help communities. One other program I'm going to mention is the Rural Business and Development Grant. It's a grant opportunity where either the city or your Economic Development Authority or a tribe or a nonprofit can apply and help a small or emerging business. And we've seen opportunities like this all across the state where we funded these programs do some pretty unique things. In Comanche, Oklahoma, the city bought an old motel that had become an eyesore and a drug dealer haven. They bought it, remodeled it. Each one of the rooms had become a pop-up shop. They had a trade days that began the first weekend of the month. Now there's businesses open in there all the time. The city of Comanche now has over 70 people on a waiting list to use one of these rooms as a business opportunity. And they're seeing increase in their sales tax. That's the type of thing that we want to be involved with because it makes a difference in that community. In Guthrie, Oklahoma, they recently applied for it and they used the money to help a coffee roaster and to buy a bigger machine. And now his 10-year plan has become a 2-year plan and expansion in that community. So there are opportunities there to help businesses in a way that you haven't really thought about. In Ardmore, Oklahoma, we did the investment with the same grant. We helped with the downtown parking and sidewalks because it was going to help the small businesses in the downtown area. So what I encourage people to do is think about what it is in your community that you want to help with. Is there businesses that need help that you can come to rural development and talk to us to see if we can't provide the assistance that helps that business prosper and to grow in your own community. We see opportunities all the time. I just came back just this morning. I was in Durant, but we were there last night in Atoka. Atoka has changed a lot in the last 10 years from when I was there. What has changed in Atoka that makes it a place that is growing today? One is their community rallied around some leadership. They've hired some people that know about economic development, and they've done some TIP districts. They've gone to some other people and sought some grant money and some other funding through the Choctaw Nation. And they convinced Reba McEntire to open a restaurant downtown. Now, who would have guessed that opening a restaurant in downtown Atoka would change that community? And it has. Every storefront is full. Same thing with Pawhuska. Look at what has happened in Pawhuska. When I was in the legislature, and I'd go over Pawhuska because my classmate, Senator Sweden, was from there, every downtown building was empty. Because of Drummond's, the downtown is full. And the last time I was there, you'd almost get run over by a tour bus. So there are things in your community that with the right leadership and vision and partnerships, you can make your community grow by using the assets that you have. It's possible. And you just can't let people be negative and tell you can't do it because it can happen. Ho Chi Town, America, is the same way. It looks like Branson down there for North Texans. We were there the other day. They're working on a hospital situation in Idabel. And they told us if we weren't out of the lodge by 8 a.m., we were going to sit in traffic. I didn't believe them. Guess what? We sat in traffic, trying to get out of Ho Chi Town, McCurtain County. So it is possible. The one thing that we have found is the world has changed dramatically since the pandemic. The world of work has changed dramatically. People are coming back to rural communities because they don't have to live in Dallas and San Diego and New York City. They can choose to live in a rural community and work because of the telework situation that has now become a part of the workforce. And they're choosing because of the quality of life they can have in a rural community, and they're also choosing it because they're not getting their wages cut. Their wages are still the same. They can stretch their money a lot further by living in rural areas. And they're choosing to be our neighbors and our friends. And so we have to put together our plan about how we want our communities to grow. So at Rural Development, we have over 70 programs. As I tell people every day, you should come to us and look about what's available. We want to help. Our programs are very detail-oriented, which means sometimes we have to know the details, but what we do in our staff is we try to help get you what you need to make the application to be successful. I'm a little different than the folks in Washington. I believe in trying to get to yes, and that's what I've told my staff. Our goal should be to get to yes. We should look at this at every angle that we can to help these communities that have come to us. It reminds me a lot when I was campaigning for the Senate the last time. I was out knocking doors, and I went up to one door, and I said, "Hi, I'm Kenneth Corn, I'm running for the state Senate. I'd sure appreciate your vote." And the guy said, "Well, I know exactly who you are." He says, "I've watched your entire career that's been in the legislature. I don't like you. I don't like anything you stand for. I don't even know why you're up there. You do the worst job." So I got back to the car. I had a retired lady that drove the car for me, and I got back in the car. She said, "Well, how did that go?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to put that guy down as a maybe." You know what? That's how I do with them in Washington. I don't give up when they tell me no. I continue to push. And we've seen some changes in some of our programs here in Oklahoma because I don't accept the Washington answer. I tell them in Washington, while I work for the president and I work for USDA, my first obligation is to the state of Oklahoma. And I want these programs to work for these communities because when this presidential administration ends, I'm going to go back to live in a rural community, probably working as a city manager somewhere again. And I want the programs to actually work for the people they're designed for. And this is my opportunity to do that. And I have a great staff that's willing to do that too. And as I tell people this earlier tonight, when you submit an application to us, if you'll submit it to us ahead of time, we will look at it, and if you're missing something, we'll call you and say, "Hey, you need to add this." Or if there's something in the application that's wrong, we'll tell you what you need to change because we want you to be successful. What we can't do is we can't fill out the application for you. We can't change it after the deadline. But if you'll get it to us ahead of time, we can help you get to where it's a successful application. Listen, this is a great state. There is a lot of opportunities here. I love Oklahoma. I often think to myself, how is it that I was so lucky to be born in this state? To grow up in a rural area of this state? To know some of the finest people that walk the face of the earth that call Oklahoma home? I like the old saying is, I love Oklahoma. I love every blade of her grass, every grain of her sand. We really do have a perfect opportunity to take advantage of historic investments from this Congress and this administration to put it to work for us. The first time we've had that, and we'll never see this type of investment again. So as you sit there and you think, "Oh, we can wait. We can wait." If we wait, we'll miss our opportunity, and we shouldn't do that. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you tonight. Reach out to us at Rural Development. We want to be your partner. We want to find a way to say yes. We want to make the opportunity for your community to be prosperous and to be what you want it to be. But we can't do it if you don't reach out to us. And as I tell people, you can't get any funding if you don't make an application. So call us, our staff is ready to help you, and I will always be glad to come back to Woods County if I need to talk to you about how we make these opportunities available. Thank you all for the opportunity with me tonight.